this is Mike the Gamer Guy, and as you can tell, we have once again moved locations, and it's probably going to keep on being like that with subsequent videos, at least for the next month or two, as we're in the middle of a move from first from my previous location to here, and then here to another location, most likely. So, yeah, complicated times, but despite that, I'm going to try and bring you some videos here whenever I get the chance to. The moving in school makes things difficult, but gosh darn it, I gotta put something out there. So for today's topic, I'm doing something which isn't bootleg related, but it is equally bizarre in my mind, and it'll be easy to do given the time constraints I'm under. So today we're talking about Nintendo Fanon. For those of you unfamiliar with the concept of fanon, it's a portmanteau of fan and canon. The idea being to bring some sort of broad contiguousness to fan works, usually short stories or other types of fan fiction, through the use of a wiki or other encyclopedia-style website. Now, as someone who doesn't have strong feelings either way about fan fiction, generally speaking, that'd probably be all there is to say if Nintendo Fanon wasn't so unique. With most other properties, the point of a wiki is usually to compile biographical detail of the characters, plot summaries, locations, and so on. Naturally, fanons follow a similar structure, compiling details on fan-created elements of the world. What's unique about Nintendo is that, being more of a brand than a series, the way in which fanon manifests itself is in a manner much more similar to encyclopedia fanfiction than a fanfiction encyclopedia. If that seems at all confusing, take a look at this example and I think you'll get the idea. Here we have Luigi's Mansion 3. To be clear, this is not a story or a fan game made to serve as the third installment in the Luigi's Mansion series, but rather a page describing the history and gameplay details of a non-existent game. It goes as far as to describe projected release dates, show box art, the developers involved, even how it makes use of the console, in this case the Switch's, hardware. As strange and seemingly pointless as a wiki of pretend games might seem, there's actually a fair amount that can be gleaned from reading this stuff for a bit. Primarily, why it's a good thing that Nintendo fans aren't in charge of game development. But we'll get to that. Let's read a bit of the Luigi's Mansion 3 page now to see what I'm talking about firsthand, and maybe even review this non-game along the way. Luigi's Mansion 3, parenthetical provisional title, is a new game from the Luigi's Mansion trilogy and Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon's ancestor, released for the Nintendo 3DS in 2013 as part of the so-called Luigi year, which will be released for the Nintendo Switch in February of 2018. It is being developed by Nintendo EAD and Next Level Games, the same ones that made the second game. So right off the bat, we're provided with a ton of information on this non-game, such as Luigi's Mansion 3 only being a working title, the fact it's launching in 2018, February to be exact, and that Next Level Games will be working on it. Of course, all these details only really serve the article itself, since, as I've stated, this game does not exist in any form. This is what I mean by encyclopedia fanfiction. Also, you may have noticed that the syntax is a bit weird, and I'm not going to really dwell on that too much, but I did want to mention it since the use of the word ancestor can't help but remind me, and I apologize for this, of Seven Granddad. The reason being that the name of that cartridge roughly translates to something like Ancestor of Mario, so there's that connection. And it allows me to shoehorn bootlegs into this video. Next, let's move on to graphics for one of the stranger details in the article. In a trailer shown, you can see that the whole game will be one of the most used Switch hardware, aka NVIDIA Tegra, graphically, behind The Legend of Zelda. A curiosity is that a rumor pointed out that Luigi's Mansion 3, quote, would have graphics of Toy Story, unquote, something that later was apparently confirmed in the trailer. You heard that right, there were even ridiculous rumors surrounding Luigi's Mansion 3. Granted, it's a bizarre rumor, and I'm not sure what graphics of Toy Story even means, but it's one of the most realistic elements in this entire article. Also related to this graphics section, I have to wonder what it says that in this fan creation, where the author could potentially write anything they wanted to about how good the game looked, that they chose to say its graphics fell below Zelda, which wasn't even able to hit 1080p in docked mode, and the only anecdote they provide seems to imply that the graphics were altogether a letdown. Interesting. How about gameplay? A new addition that did not exist in the other trilogy games, and is only available on the Nintendo Switch, is the fact that the player can control, optionally, the camera and Poltergust 6000 developed by Professor Egad, at the same time with movements of Joy-Cons making Luigi move only the light from the flashlight to any side, thus facilitating the gameplay, Since this time the environments are much darker, the camera is closer to Luigi, and the only visible light is that of the flashlight Luigi when there is no light available nearby. Here we can see the first reason why I think Nintendo fans should be kept as far away from the development process as possible. I find it pretty shocking that someone might think that a great improvement to the series would be making it so you can't see but a few feet directly in front of your face. Still, it does get worse. Unlike Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, Luigi's Mansion 3 focuses on the darkness and psychological terror suffered by Luigi as he crosses dark and ghoulish corridors and is frightened by ghosts, followed by a strange set of scintillating lights emitted by ghosts and incredibly realistic shadows. I recently played through Super Mario Odyssey. It's been a long time since I've played a Mario game with that much inspiration. I think it's fair to say that the series has been pretty stagnant since the 3D Land games, though personally I feel it's been lacking something since Galaxy. Because of this, it seems that Nintendo and particularly Mario fans have become of two minds. A, Nintendo needs to invest more time in their games, or B, Nintendo needs to reinvent their image somehow. I see a lot of people advocating for B, wanting to see a brutal Mario title where Mario has an AK-47 or something, as if making the games darker and more depressing will make them better, or at the very least help the self-conscious middle-aged dudes who play games about magical plumbers feel a little less insecure about the whole thing. That is to say, I can't help but roll my eyes a bit when I hear about a psychological horror game starring this guy, or realistic shadows. Lastly, we even have some trivia. It was planned to leave for the Wii U, but due to the commercial failure of the console, was postponed to the Nintendo Switch. Thanks everybody for watching and keeping up with me these past few months. I don't think I've released a single video in October, so I'm glad you guys have decided to stick around. The review that we've got in the works right now is for Final Fantasy IV, as voted on by the Patreon account, so as soon as I get a chance to record some footage, I'll start putting that together. And I do have a script in the works for it already, so hopefully we'll get that out soon. Thanks again everybody for watching, and I hope to see you again real soon.